All right. Hi, Chris. How is it going, mate?
Man, how are you?
Yeah, all good. So we've had the intro, but as we haven't been speaking for a while before, but now as we start this little podcast, so just to know the Polish audience and also the audience that will be listening to us more from your Aussie, Sydney part of the world or other English speakers, but yeah, I'm the guy doing the podcast ABC of Surfing here in Poland. So probably I'll do the translation here in some subtitles, maybe also English subtitles for people who won't be able to understand your Aussie and my Polish English. So let's see. But if you could please also tell a few words about yourself, mate.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so my name's Chris Friend, originally from the Sunshine Coast in Australia, but have been living all over the place since I was about 21, moved to Sydney for about 10 years, and then left Sydney to live in New York for a while, and most recently London. And I run a company called Liveheats that provides scoring and competition management software for action sports competitions. So we do all the surfing, skateboarding, ski and snowboard, and ocean racing competitions around the world.
And it all started from surfing, like going here back to the roots, and also like one of my first questions because that's how we basically met. I lived in Sydney for almost 3 years, and once I remember what I told you now a moment ago. I saw you in Tamarama in Tama, and you helped me out, giving few hints, and I was, just looking to you as the local pro, and yeah, you used to be a pro, right? You were competing?
Yeah, so I grew up not in Tamarama. I grew up in a place called the Sunshine Coast, which is in
Hmm.
Queensland.
Yeah,
It's a
north
lot of
of
beach.
Gold Coast.
Exactly, yeah. So yeah, 2 hours north of the Gold Coast, similar waves to Bondi and Tamarama, beach breaks, couple
So
of
not
point
Noosa
breaks.
longboarding.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I grew up actually about 30 minutes south of Noosa, so I would go there every now and again.
But
But
you're the
I didn't really
shortboarder.
longboard. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was just always a shortboarder, always really excited by watching the high performance surfers like Andy Irons and Taj Burrow when I was a kid. And yeah, I was obsessed with surfing from about 10 years old, wanted to be a pro surfer. And then when I was about 14, I started competing
Hmm.
and did quite well and got sponsored when I was actually got sponsored when I was 13 by Volcom, and then
Cool.
from there went on and yeah, kept competing all around the country. Did really well when I was sort of around 16, won some big events, got a contract, and then from there basically started competing around the world, representing Australia in the junior world championships. Ended up coming second in the World Junior Championships in 2007 to Jadson Andre, who was on the tour for a few years,
Cool.
and then got a pro contract and got to do the pro tour on the qualifying series side from 2007, 8, 9, 10, and 11 was sort of my last professional year before I had to go and move down to Sydney and start university.
Okay, so I feel really like I didn't do my homework. Like back then, I remember you were the pro, but I like respect, mate. So now it all fits together, like knowing why you were the guy paddling so fast and getting most of those waves back then, but back there. So, all right. So even more respect, but glad that you're the guy who likes to not only surf, but as you said, you went to university, so you translated your attitude because the competitiveness must be pretty strong within you that you've been competing for such a long time. And it was, by the way, still the ASP before WSL, right?
Yeah, exactly. So when I started doing the QS, it was the ASP, and then I was actually in competing at the time when it became the WSL, and I was at the meetings in Hawaii where they introduced the WSL and the new ownership and the changes that was going to happen with the tour.
Hmm.
And then I saw that transition come through. So I was in when I was competing at sort of 17, 18. The surf industry, I would say, was at its absolute peak. There
Mm-hmm.
was a lot of money. Everybody had sponsors. If you went to Times Square in New York, you would see a Billabong, a Quicksilver shop. Surfing was just the most popular sport for fashion, and brands were just making all of this revenue from clothing. So
So
we had
lucky you,
for my
you've got
generation, we were really lucky.
that golden
Yeah.
time, like as this what we are in touch in LinkedIn lately. I don't remember the name of that guy, but he's also talking lately about the state of the surf industry lately, and he had some nice
Mm.
articles lately, and exactly showing now what it is, what it used to be, and what is right now. Also, like it's a topic for another podcast about what's happening with the brands in surf industry, what's happening from big players, like also like Aussie brands who used to run the business, yeah, like with Billabongs, Quicksilvers, Rip Curls, like everything, which is basically the cradle of surfing there in Australia. And what it used to be back there, states like California, and the real roots like Hawaii. Like I have here like stuff like around my house, even though I'm living very far away from ocean, far away from what a surfer in Hawaii would, think of, that there's some crazy Polish lad, dude, mate, whatever, who traveled the world and is in his beach house inside of a city that is landlocked, and the closest that I can go surfing is either to surf an artificial wave in Berlin, what I did lately, or to go to Baltic Sea. That not many people know. It's a closed sea, almost not almost freshwater, still a little bit of saltiness, but yeah, we do have waves. We do have even surf competition, and yeah, it's just still about that joy, about that fun, and like what you've mentioned, what is also funny with that old Volcom slogan being true to this, right? So the values, and that's
Yeah.
also part of what I did with my master thesis in philosophy. I had philosophy of windsurfing, life passions and values. So that's what is like
Mm.
my thing that I am, I guess, trying also um, to see, to hear in the world, like talking to you. Maybe you could have remembered it, that there was that uh, funny talkative dude on the lineup, talking with you, or some even older lads there. Like I remember a guy like in his late 60s or 70s, uh, one of the best surfers there in Tamarama, with an step up or single fin, like 6 7 foot. Maybe you remember that guy, but it was just
Mm.
cool to talk with people who have been surfing their whole lives. You talk with them, you look into their eyes, and you already know that the youngster there is all the time, like the soul is different when you are salty all that life. But yeah, we have the intro, and what you started also saying, like what have happened that you went from being a professional athlete surfer, you started university, and how it developed into what you're doing now. So that Liveheats app that is, as you know, also being used in Poland in our surfing competition, which is also like, if you have ever thought that it will happen.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. And it's funny that you're talking about meeting people in the surf at Bondi, because I think that is one of the amazing things about living in Bondi. You surf every day and you meet different characters that are passing through, because it's such an international city. Um, and actually, that's how the story of Live Heats happened. I met a Brazilian guy in the surf at Bondi. He was moved into town as well. He was a software programmer, really smart guy. Mum's a leading professor of physics at Stanford and top universities around the world. And he had sort of found his way to Bondi. We became
Nice.
friends just from chatting in the surf casually. Um, and he was really keen on getting to know more of the surfing community and doing some coaching. So I connected him with some friends who were doing coaching at the time, and before you knew it, we asked him, "Hey, why don't you just come down and hang out at the Board Riders Club competition at Bondi Beach?" And so he came down for the first time. That was, I think, April or May 2016. And he saw the local grassroots competition was run all on paper processes. It was like paper registration, handwritten heat draws, handwritten schedule, scoring on pen and paper. Someone would manually calculate the scores to do the rankings, and then the results were sort of written on another whiteboard. And he was shocked that it was all so manual. And this is all around 2016 time, so it's sort of all of a sudden everyone has a mobile phone with an internet. There's 3G, 4Gs everywhere at that point. So there was no reason why it couldn't be moved onto the mobile web. And so he basically was like, hey, why is this all not digital yet? And I didn't really have an answer for him. There were scoring software platforms at the top level events.
Mm-hmm.
World Surf League had been using the system for probably 20 years at that stage. Same with the ISA. But they were from a different generation. There were systems that required a server on the beach. You would have to connect all the tablets to this server, run it locally. It was too hard for a board riders
And
club to do
expensive.
scoring. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it was like the Polish surfing championships would never be able to use that. The only people that could use it were if you're a big professional organization. So he came up with the idea, and then we teamed up as a fun side project, and we started creating a web platform where Bondi Board Riders Club could do registration, competition management, scoring, and rankings on a software platform that would make it much easier for them, just on mobile phones and tablets. And that's where Liveheats started.
So these were the test grounds. So, but it was the local board riders, or it's like, I think I have even a T-shirt from Cronulla in 2016 or 17, the Australian board riders battle. I remember that was a cool event. Like, this is like what I love about your Aussie surf culture. That's like something I would be happy to also somehow translate, implement, make also like from Polish perspective with our here Slavic DNA and roots, but also looking up to what's happening in Australia, what's happening in States, and developing our own culture, like languages. Yeah, like we even have some Polish sayings or from Polish literature that Polish are not goose, they have their own language. So also Polish are not goose or cooks, they also have their own surf culture. So that is also
Yeah, nice.
cool. And that's why I'm also super happy to talk with you. Or like I was telling you, I'm getting soon some magic boards from a guy I met in Ballina. Like not many people know where's Ballina, especially as I was looking for work. It was my I don't know, first month ever in Australia. I did like 20 kilometers walk across Ballina, which is still small. And I showed up as at his factory. I went in, I talked with the guy, and suddenly it's still that interview in my YouTube back from 2016. And I talked with Ginter Ron. And now it's just like what I got to know now, what you've told me with your competitive past. And also only a few years later, I saw like what an epic surfer shaper I have met. It was just also like from that perspective mind blowing. But it's also the beauty of people who love it, who live with it. They will be happy to share it. So that's also like what I'm saying here in talking in Polish in my podcast, that sharing is caring. And it's actually, if you do care not only for you, but for others, and you care for basically what you're doing, then you'll be happy to share, like the waves. Yeah, you're not the local from North Caribbean who will drown you if you catch his waves. Real
Mm.
story. That's what I've heard from some old guy talking to some young pro, dropping in on him, and he was like, "You do it one again, I'll drown you." So
Yeah, I don't. That same thing happens to me when I try to surf out there and I get splashed and all sorts of things. So
I don't know if
yeah,
I'm
I don't
lucky
understand that
or
side.
I have good attitude, but I was allowed to surf there. I was allowed to surf in Velzi's that I've heard also is pretty much local. So maybe I just have the good aura, but maybe
Yeah.
or maybe people maybe people sheesh, I forgot now the word. Maybe people mistake us with that other guy who is also bald, so maybe that's the benefit what we have.
Yeah, exactly.
And actually, look, I just got there. My niece brought me this from London because she's studying Erasmus exchange, and I have the newest album
Oh,
of
nice.
Kelly
Yeah,
with
yeah, nice.
with Jesus with Todd
Super
Glazer.
cool.
So Slater, this will be under my
Nice.
mistletoe this year. So about bald guys, it's
Yeah, nice.
it's there, it's waiting. So.
Power to the
Um,
bald guys.
yeah, the testosterone and just the inner charm, whatever, but not talking already too
Yeah,
much about
exactly.
the outside, but also Chris about the inside. So you've started this. What I also saw in your website that born in Bondi Beach. So like you say, that's where it started. And so where you're heading now? So you're living now abroad, like still Bondi or Tamarama will be your like long-term home spot, or your home spot is in Sunshine Coast? Like,
Yeah, it's a good question. My wife and I, we decided to spread our wings just after COVID. We wanted to get out into the world, and we felt a bit trapped in all the lockdowns in Australia. It was quite
good on
intense.
you guys.
Yeah, so we decided to leave the country and just see what happens. So we moved to New York, which was intimidating, but ended up being the best experience we've ever had. And I was running Liveheats. We were a small company at that point. We were about 4 or 5 people. We were working across surf, ski and snowboard, skateboarding, BMX, surf lifesaving or ocean racing,
But
in
inside
a
Australia,
number of
or you
countries.
already went abroad back then?
We had some traction in the US and Europe and Brazil and Asia, but we didn't have a lot of relationships in the US. So my goal was to get to the US and spend time just hanging out with our customers and building those face-to-face relationships. So particularly in the
That's
sports that I
priceless
didn't know
because
very well.
you can network and do it like in person. Like it's cool, like what we are doing now, Zoom and stuff. But nothing will ever change this real human contact and what you can do by being amongst people and yeah, connecting simply. And that's still, luckily, thanks God, something that will be making us still humans and not just being virtual machines and avatars.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, exactly. No, so that was really that chapter was really good living in the US. I traveled a lot, meeting
but
surfing organizations,
what you were
snowboard, ski,
saying,
all over.
the melting pot as what we know about New York, but what you said that I was laughing, how you met your Brazilian colleague or business partner, that Bondi also, like Bondi bubble as we know, but that Sydney is also that type of melting pot, which is actually interesting. Like even though Harbor Bridge is different than the bridges in New York, but still like the magic of Sydney is also there. It's also like I cannot compare to New York because I haven't been there yet, but definitely, yeah, Sydney is hell of a place. And yeah, I'm like I told you, I'm happy to be back there soon because I left Sydney in March 2019. And since then, my foot haven't been there down under, but it's it's calling. It's not only Berlin calling,
Yes.
like I'm traveling to Berlin, listening to Paul Kalkbrenner, but now it's time to listen to some Aussie. Like now, what is it? Bliss and Esso, and what was the Coastal Kids? That's something that always rings my bell. And thinking about Australia.
Oh, nice. Yeah, no, it's true. It's Sydney is a very unique place, particularly Bondi, because it's the first place everybody goes to when they get off the airplane from Europe or Asia or anywhere in the world. So it attracts, if you're moving to Sydney and say you're working in a company in the US and they ask you if you would like to move to Sydney, you'll try to live at Bondi Beach because it's like an iconic experience to live in Australia and experience that. So that's what's so cool about it is you meet all of these people from different cultures and different parts of the world, and there's a lot of smart people all moving there that are ambitious and doing things. And then what's good about it is you have the surfing side too. So it means you're going to meet chill people and have that shared values and passion. New York is also amazing in terms of it's like, you know, the most intense place in the world to move and the most ambitious people in the US and Europe, and everyone is attracted to New York. So you meet some incredible people, incredible energy. And there is also a surfing subculture there. It's not as big as Bondi, but I managed to find out where the surfers were and made a lot of really good friends in the surfing communities over there. And yeah, it was awesome. We got to surf a lot, foiled a fair bit too. Yeah, traveled around with our business, getting all our customers on board, and particularly in the snow world. Spent a lot of time at snow resorts and
Yeah,
getting to
because
know
I've been
that
following
side, which
you
is really cool.
on social media, I guess lately, mostly on LinkedIn. That's something that I can also definitely recommend to our viewers, listeners. So that's something I like to see myself from time to time, how you're developing, how Liveheats doing, and that's yeah, really cool that from the passion, the thing like you say, connecting while surfing, getting friends with people that you would have never met otherwise if not for surfing. So that's something, yeah, I can also relate to, and yeah, the magic and why we do. I guess you are still surfing even though you're in Europe now, right?
Yeah, 100%. I just did a trip to Morocco. I spent 3 weeks in
Cool.
Bali in October, November. We actually
This
did the
was the
Live Heats
meeting I saw
annual.
you had with the company. So
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, I would love to be on board of a company doing such a company trip to a place to surf. So, like, I have a postcard
Yeah.
from Hawaii I bought, and the board meeting of company on the board. So that's
Yeah, nice. Yeah. Well, initially when we started Live Heats, Fernando and I, who's my co-founder, the original idea was we just would want to use the revenue from the business to save up and do a surf trip. So that was the original goal because we didn't think it would be big enough to be our own company. We thought it'd be a fun side project and we'd do it and maybe it'd generate 10 or $15,000 and we could use that to go to the first year we went to Portugal for 7 weeks and we just got a villa and hung out and surfed and worked on the product. The next
sweet.
year we went to Indonesia for a while. So that was originally the vision. So we kind of have this like legacy vibe of surf trips and working, and we actually get a lot done on them. And we surf in the morning, work on our laptops, and then maybe go for a surf before bed.
So
But yeah,
connecting
Bali
is
was
like
awesome. It was so much fun.
workation in your case as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
And with what I was also curious, but I maybe I disturbed you when you started talking about university. So your mate Fernando is the guy with the IT side of the business, and you're like the business attitude guy, or like what you've studied. Just being curious, like for people who maybe in the future will like to make their own surfing businesses, not copying life hits because we don't like that, but you're it's like you are like Red Bull here in this case because you're the first on the market, so that's also cool, and I wish you all the best with that.
Yeah,
And
thanks. Yeah, I hope we end up like Red Bull. That'd be really good. But yeah,
fingers
I'm the
crossed, mate.
business side.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so Fernando he's the technology guy, which is critical, obviously, when you're a technology business.
Hmm.
But then, yeah, we realized, well, he realized that he wanted me to be involved because he needed someone who knew how the competitions worked, was able to go and sell and market the
That's
product to the
also
competition
priceless because you
organizers.
know what is necessary, and then also you as a native speaker and you as the yeah, local guy, plus with I understand the business side. So yeah, it's like a perfect fit of a team who can work, cooperate, and it's the way it's done. Like alone, you would not be able to do it, and he himself as well.
Exactly, yeah. And it was pretty funny in the first few years. People thought it was just my project and he was just the IT guy. And people would even say, Um, his nickname was Friendy's IT bloke. That's what the Australian board rider clubs would call him. They'd
And
go, "Hey,
was he
friend."
cool about that, or he has
He laughed about it. Yeah,
okay, so
he didn't. He's
easygoing.
not the sort of character for the limelight. Exactly. Yeah, he didn't mind.
Good on him. Good on him. It's like I guess it's like what I hope most of us surfers are aiming at to be, like easygoing, this like I don't know, kind of like what German people like to say, like hang loose and stuff, but definitely not to be this narrow-minded, aggressive dude who's like super radical, local and doesn't let anyone else catch his wave, but you just go out. Some people will be like me, talking out their stress in their life. Some other people will be somewhere else on the lineup, catching waves by themselves, having their meditation, because surf is probably, maybe you admit or not, like if it's also a type of meditation what we are doing out there in the water.
Yeah, I agree. I find it's the most amazing thing to have in your life, surfing. You, particularly when it's part of your daily life, you get to get into nature. Like if you start the day with a surf, you're in nature, you're socializing. Like I would always talk to people in the surf every single day, chat to friends, new faces. It's how I met many people living all over the world through just conversations in the surf. Um, and then yeah, the meditation part of it is amazing. Like you're away from your phone. When you're thinking, I think a lot when I'm in the surf. If I'm sitting there, I'll just be thinking and ideas will come to me and I'll be daydreaming and thinking of all these things.
Brainstorming,
But then when
that's
yeah, exactly.
we are
But then when
grounded
I'm
through
up
that
on a
water.
wave,
It's also the beauty. Like I don't go that much into metaphysics, even though I'm a official philosopher. But still, like there is something in this water, like the connection not only with people but with nature. And yeah, exactly, like so many thoughts. But then you see that small or bigger set going, then the most beautiful focus in the world is like, I want to survive. And let's imagine you're in Bondi, like some winter swell, 5 to 8 foot, and suddenly from that little 5 foot set, you see the 8 foot upcoming, and you're somewhere in the middle, and like you, you don't think about anything else. And this is something what I
yeah,
reckon surfing has, that uh, you just need to fight for your life, but it's also the beauty how rewarding it is. Yeah, like with the surfing, not only the competition where the reward will be the prize. Like I was finally happy lately to win the second place silver medal here in Poland longboarding, but still, like my prizes each time after some great session, after some great wave, it's like it's nice to have, this thing like for business or for sponsors to be entitled to say like I'm a pro or good surfer, whatever you put. But by the end of the day, or like philosophically saying, at the end of the life, what counts? Like the joy, the contact with nature, exchanging the energy and smiles with people, meeting people, traveling. Like if not for this very moment when your feet for the first time stood on the surfboard, this would not happen and we would not be speaking today.
yeah, exactly. No, I agree. It's a beautiful thing. I feel very lucky that I found surfing, and that it's a part of my life. It always will be. Yeah, it's incredible. Like when you actually stand up in a wave, it's like you are just laser focused on what's happening. And I haven't managed to recreate that in any other sport. Like I've particularly since I've lived in London and New York, I really miss that daily connection where I can like just have something that I'm completely present to do for those, 1 or 2 hours every day. But
So you're
now
not a
now
surf
what's
skater yet. You're not a surf skater yet with
Yeah, no, not yet. I don't think I'm too scared of
sorry
getting
for
injured doing that.
all surf skaters. I do it from time to time, but a little fun.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, now my relationship with surfing is I still think about it all the time. I watch surfing videos often. I'll sit on YouTube or put it on the background and fantasize about surfing, and then I get to do it now
You have a
not
nice surf
every day,
festival in
but
London. Have you been to it?
you know what? I didn't even know it was happening. It happened, I think, after summer. I missed it this year, but
Okay.
yeah, I'm going to try to get into that one next year. But yeah, and then just trying to get on as many surf trips as I can, fitting them in with work trips and stuff around Europe. I love the European surfing culture. So
Cool.
I'm excited to get out and do some more surfing in Europe, even in the Baltic. I've surfed in the Baltic before, actually.
But in Sweden or where?
Yeah, in Tura in Sweden. I
Okay,
actually did
yeah, I think we
university.
talked about it
Yeah.
somewhere earlier, but okay, so
Yeah,
now
yeah.
now as I know we need to slowly get other things done. Like you're in other meetings, I'm also like almost I don't know how many hours on my legs, as you know, after night shift
Yeah.
in Berlin, driving here back 300 kilometers home to Poznan in Poland, and yeah, getting some things all together. So also like with what you're saying, I would love to cross the path with you again on lineup. So maybe somewhere in Europe, or maybe sending already now some little invitation to you if you are close to Poland or you would be willing. There's invitation, a place to stay in Poznan, and we can drive from here to our seaside to Hell Peninsula, where around this piece of land that's like the most northerly point of Poland, somewhere there close, and we have even nice rocky point breaks, and then all the beach breaks behind harbor walls and stuff. So I would love to exchange that sharing of your knowledge and skills that I've had from you in Sydney. So yeah, that would be also cool. So please feel
Absolutely.
free to
Yeah, I will.
contact me. And if I like very last thing, is there like anything you would maybe could say to Polish surfer, or like people willing to doing already developing the Polish surfing culture? Is there like anything you would suggest, recommend?
Yeah, it's a good question. If I was a surfer in Poland, I would be trying to do surf trips to get good at surfing, but then I would also start foiling because foiling would be so good in the Baltic Sea because you have the windy, choppy days,
That's
and you could
already
actually do
happening.
it when
That's
there's no
already
swell.
happening.
Yeah, yeah. Because I think that would be, yeah, then you could be surfing when there's a little bit of swell, and then when it's just chop and slop in the Baltic, you could be prone foiling, and it's good skills overlap between both of those.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it comes to the competitions and developing talent, I think, yeah, the best thing to do is to just run as many competitions as you can, even if they're tiny little club level comps and you win $50 or you win a t-shirt. The important thing about what makes Australia so good at competitive surfing is we have club competitions every month. So when you're 10 or 11, you go and compete in your local club. You learn how to do competitions, you make friends, you meet the older guys and girls in your community, and you get mentorship. And you don't win anything in those club comps. You just you win, and then you maybe get at the end of the year you might get a prize, but it's just about getting exposure to as many competitions as possible, and building that community and that strong fabric. And it's done a lot for Australia now with our competitive landscape is so thriving and well established. I'm excited to see that happening in other countries like Poland and Sweden and Norway, where it is growing. So yeah, hopefully we can help it make that happen on Liveheats.
Yeah, so that's cool to hear. I definitely also wish you that. As you know, and as you know me, and you see what I'm doing, I'm also trying to get all the nice ideas, like talking with you now. As I said, I'll be traveling soon to Sydney, so I was already texting with Matt Chojnacki, the wax head. So he's also like Polish roots. So I
Nice.
would like to
Oh,
go.
that's a Polish name. Hey,
Yeah,
Chinos,
yeah, yeah.
Chinos.
And
Yeah,
he's the commentator on WSL, but
yeah,
most of which like the wax head, he's the
yeah,
like guy I also look into like with his longboarding skills and surfing. So my 7.4 here and another 9.6. I like my first longboard I got last year, and this year suddenly like boom, like I
yeah.
got my first prize in it. So I would definitely like to also have a chat with Matt, maybe also do, but already live interview somewhere there in Brookvale, where he's um, based. And yeah, and I'll see something else around Sydney, maybe, traveling to Gold Coast. I'll see maybe visiting Mark Richards in Newcastle, going to Ocean and Earth to Sussex Inlet. I don't know, like plenty of, ideas, but I'll definitely use like 1.5 months of time I'll be there. And I'm just glad for all the hints, things you've said, and definitely also wishing that people will be looking into what you're doing and this app that seems that is working so good, not only for one sport that made you that interesting path. So hopefully some other things that you didn't also have in mind when you started doing it will come up. So that's what I'm wishing you for the new 2025. And yeah, rock on, mate.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, keep doing what you're doing. Yeah, it's awesome to see the energy in the Polish surf community. So, yeah, I'm excited to hopefully come and check it out in person at some stage. So let's stay in touch.
We will, mate. We will. So now sending the aloha vibe from cold Poland, like I'm in my hoodie. It's not as warm and sunny as in different part of the world currently, like somewhere in Sydney. But yeah, it's the sun shine inside and the smile. So Sunshine Coast local, Chris Friend, thank you very much, mate, for your time and effort. And yeah, hope to meet us soon, and good luck and enjoy also the Christmas and the season. So have fun.
Jen, thanks, Adam. See you soon. Ciao.
Aloha. See you.